Welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to show you my new reading journal and why I already wanted to make a switch from the Hobonichi Techo, which is what I was originally using as my reading slash media journal. And I figured I could also do some mini book reviews from the last couple of books I've read, show you what that looks like in my reading journal. So there's nothing wrong with the Hobonichi Techo. This is the One Piece version, which is super cute. One Piece is one of my favorite anime. I just found that I apparently have a lot to write when I'm doing like book reviews or summarizing each book or TV show. I was just running out of space. So for an A6 size as a reading journal, it was too small. I do think I'll get one next year to use as a daily planner. I got these set of pens from jetpens.com, and each pen color matches each month of the Hobonichi. So that'll be fun to use. I ended up switching to a B6 size journal. This is from Ali Riaz. It's the chunky journal that she has. So on her website, there's a bunch of different sizes. You can like pick and choose which one would fit you better. For this one, there's like 1,000 pages. You can fit a lot of different entries in there. You probably won't run out of space as fast or like switch out the journal as much. For me personally, and A6 is like too small and then A5 is too big, so I found that the B6 seems to be like that happy medium for me. For my reading journal, I'm pretty minimal. I just kind of write out, my thoughts on the book and a summary of like what happens, which is good for when I've already forgotten what happened when I'm reading like the next book in the series. I'll probably go back and do some decorating with stickers for the blank spaces at some point, just make it a little cuter. I also like to write in my journal entries using the Pilot Friction because it's an erasable gel pen, so if you make mistakes, it's just easy to, like a mechanical pencil, just erase your mistake. It's a little bit cleaner than having to use a whiteout tape. I also wanted to show a quick flip through of my daily journal. I've been using the Hobonichi Free Diary. I know it wasn't available for a while in the US. I actually bought mine through the Midori website using Bai, and then they had to ship it over from Japan. So this is what the inside looks like. It's pretty much the same as the regular, yearly Hobino. It's just undated, so it doesn't have the specific dates written on them. You can use it whenever you want. You're not obligated to use it every day. So the A6 as a reading journal is too small, but I find that as a daily journal, as just like quick, updates on like what I did that day, what I was feeling that day, cute decorating for journal pages. This, for me, an A6 is a pretty decent size. I also don't really want to think too hard on how to decorate the pages. So as an A6, because it's smaller, there's less space to have to fill in. So moving on to the book reviews, these will have spoilers. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers or you haven't read any of these books, please do not keep watching because I might spoiler, like, there will probably big spoilers for them. So the first book is A Drop of Corruption. This is the second book in the series, and I like the mystery even though it is more complex than the first books. I don't know if us as the readers are meant to figure it out on our own, or because we are in Din's point of view, we would never have figured it out since we don't have Anna's abilities to connect all the random data sets she collects. I like that we get more insight into what Din is feeling and how he feels like he might be wasting his time or his life doing this type of investigation work. In contrast that with Anna, where it seems like she has some sort of backstory where it motivates her to do this type of job, and she feels strongly about justice and how that works. And maybe she was either personally wronged in the past, or maybe she witnessed something, and that kind of has a strong motivation for her to correct things that she sees that need justice. So yeah, I am interested in the next book. I think it comes out sometime in towards the end of 2026. So the next book is The Ornithologist Field Guide to Love, and this book is very much into cozy romance vibes. It's pretty low stakes, and I like the setting. I'm into Victorian historical romances. This is just adding a bit more magic and fantasy into that type of setting. And overall, I like this book. It's basically just happily ever after vibes. The only thing is the humor might not be to your taste. I know for me it was a little too silly. There's a lot of like slapstick kind of comedy going on, which I don't really, it's not like my favorite thing, but it's tolerable. And the only like slight plot hole, I guess, I don't know if it counts as a plot hole, but at the end when they're trying to release the bird that they captured, and they don't want to just release it out in the middle of the city, but in the end it does get like, it kind of just escapes on its own in the city anyway, and nothing bad actually happens. So I guess I don't understand the whole point, when if they had already rescued the bird, like they could have just let it go right away, I guess. Since if nothing bad was going to happen, like they should have just done it then. We didn't need to get the whole like her getting captured with the bird. And I don't know how the bird's healing abilities really equaled the same as forcing or making Devin propose at the end of the book. Like the magic made him do that. And I don't know how, I guess maybe it's like, if you marry her, it will heal you type of emotion. So yeah, a little bit silly, because I feel like he would have eventually done it on his own anyways. So I don't know if that part was like really necessary, or that was just like showcasing the magic of this bird. But a lot of those things I can just overlook. I mean, I don't think you're meant to really overthink it like I do sometimes. So overall, still very cutesy, cozy romance. I will read the rest of the series. I think there's 2 more books. And the second book is with Devin's brother that was introduced in this first book. So that'll be kind of interesting, because the second book is basically the whole trope of like an arranged marriage. So I'll be reading that later on. So the next book is This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me by Alona Andrews. They are one of my favorite authors, so I was definitely going to be reading their new series. This series is basically a isekai trope, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically someone from our world or like the normal world either reincarnates or gets sucked into a video game or something like that, where you're transferring from one world to another. And if you've read any other Alona Andrews series, they're very good at world building. So you have this fantasy world that is meant to be kind of like Game of Thrones. I think it's meant to be poking fun at Game of Thrones, because the book that Maggie is transferred into, that book series never finished. And as most isekai animes or webtoons you might have read, this book kind of has the same type of tropes. You've got like your hidden identities, you've got political intrigue, you've got magical beings like mages, they do magic. And Maggie herself can't seem to die. She always ends up being resurrected, and there's like rules to how she can resurrect, how long it takes for her to be fully healed. There's a lot of mystery involved with why she was even transported into this world in the first place. And since she can't seem to voluntarily leave or escape, then she has to find ways to survive. This book also reminds me a bit of this anime. I think it originally was a light novel, and then it became a manga, and then they had an anime adaptation. It's called The Seventh Time Loop, and kind of the same premise, except in The Seventh Time Loop, the main character, she's like a young lady. She experiences the same life over and over, so she will live out her life. I think she only ends up living 5 or 6 years every single time, and then she inevitably dies, but then she gets resurrected, and then she can basically live out her life in different ways. So it's interesting to see how she lives all her different lives, and she's able to like remember all of her knowledge and skills that she learned from each lifetime and use that for the next time she gets resurrected. And the girl in the seventh time loop kind of has the same motivations as Maggie, where they realize I need to either save the kingdom or do something in order to better the outcome of what's going on in the kingdom. So, yeah, so far, really enjoying the story, and I cannot wait for the second book. I'm probably going to reread the first book when the second book comes out. The last book I have is Weavingshaw, and this is, I think it's supposed to be a trilogy. This is the first book, and it's kind of marketed as a gothic romance. I would say it's not super gothic. I mean, there's gothic elements, like it's set in a sort of Victorian type of setting where it's like historical Victorian. There is an old estate castle like building that they do explore eventually towards the end of the book. But otherwise, those are really kind of the gothic elements. The other elements, I would just call them like paranormal, like the fact that Lena can see ghosts, that's pretty paranormal. And major spoilers now, the main antagonists are basically demons, which they don't mention that anywhere in like the blurbs or like the previews, which I'm assuming that's on purpose since it kind of gives away the point of the books, I guess. So I'm not sure if they wanted to market it as gothic because there's demons or like powerful entities, but I think in like book genres like demons, angels, or like anything like that would still count as paranormal. I think I was just kind of thrown because I thought it was going to be a book about like Lena learning her abilities to see ghosts or find a ghost, something like that. But turns out it's just really about how demons are taking over human society and how certain humans are working with the demons and how Lena is involved with that. I think the story itself is interesting. There are just some weak plot points I do kind of notice. I think it's that thing where if you ever watch a movie or a TV show and the whole don't say it, you should show it kind of thing. So about halfway through the book there's no real mention of demons or any other kind of like mysterious entities out there. It's just Lena who can see ghosts, and she makes a contract with the Saint of Silence. Basically, she's supposed to help him find a certain ghost. All of a sudden, halfway through the book, you're getting a point of view of basically the main villains who are either in contract with demons, know that demons exist, and are profiting from being in contact with demons. It does all tie in with the point of the book, which is that Saint Silas is obviously also involved with demons, but I thought that maybe it could have gone a different way of showing us that he's involved with demons, because we just get this whole chapter where it's like, okay, well, here are the bad guys, essentially. So it wasn't like a hint, it was pretty blatant, like, okay, here's what we're up against. I also thought maybe Lena herself could have been written as driving the plot, because a lot of the story is her being not in control of her decisions, in the sense that she's not forced, she's obligated to work out her contract. She's meant to find this ghost, so she can't really go out and do her own thing. She's not allowed to like go out and discover anything on her own. A lot of the plot, I felt, used her brother as like a plot device, because she has to go rescue her brother, and all the problems that her brother ends up bringing to them, they have to deal with. I think I could forgive the book doing that the first time, because we do get some character development where Lena sees St. Silas in a different perspective, that he does have feelings and he has a past, even though he tries to come off as emotionless. But then the book has Lena's brother do something reckless again, and that forces St. Silas to protect him again. So it does come off as predictable. Anyways, I mean, I guess it's not that big of a deal. I'm just being a little bit nitpicky. I still do want to know what happens, like in the next book, and I'm assuming it's a trilogy. So I do want to know like what happens. So I'll still keep reading the series. So that's it for now. I do have a few books that I'm looking forward to reading that's on my TBR list. There's some Heather Fawcett books I'm looking forward to. I still have to read the third book in the Emily Wilde series. There's the Demi Winters series, Ashen series, that I heard were pretty good, although I thought it was a trilogy, but apparently it's 5 books now. Let me know if you guys have read any of these books, or any of the books on my TBR. How were they? Is it worth reading? Just let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.